Welcome back. So we are going to talk about sales collateral. And what do we mean by sales collateral? In general, a sales collateral is something that a sales manager will use to make an impression upon the customer about your new product or your company or what have you. And so in general, it is always good to look at what stage you are in the promotion cycle and cater or tailor make your presentation based on what you want to convey, what you are ready to convey to the customer through the sales process or sales manager. In general, we saw this chart before. Just to recap what I'm talking about, if it is at a very early stage and you're not ready to release any sensitive information other than just a high-level roadmap information and to just let customers know that, okay, we're going here, wait for good things to come, and as soon as we are ready to share with you, we'll come back and give you more information. And so from that all the way to more detailed specifics that when you're ready to share the product information or anything that has to do with the company and product and so forth. And so let's look into this in a more detailed way. So you are the product manager, and now your task is you have been asked to prepare sales collateral. What are the things that you need to know to make a good job of it? So those are the kinds of questions that we'll be asking. So the number one you want to think about, number one is you have to ask, who is the audience? Obviously, if it is a sales manager who has asked for this presentation, and typically, by the way, one of the key responsibilities of a product manager is to support the sales, meaning to prepare the material and make sure that sales understands it, sales practices it and rehearses it and has all the answers to the questions, and then be ready to go talk to the customer. It is the responsibility of the product manager. Please do not expect the salespeople to make their own presentation. You make the presentation, because it is not because of any division of labor or anything. There is a very important reason. You as a product manager you are very intimately familiar with the product. In fact, there was a specific methodology, strategy, positioning, and the value proposition of the product that you had put in place way back in the new product introduction phase, and that's what got you to the product funding stage, right? There were some differentiators and you really believed that your product will shine when compared to a competitor's product. And so all of that you must now just communicate all that, and you can do that only by doing that yourself. In other words, if you want to do it right, because you are the product manager, you have to do the initial presentation first. And so that's the reason why marketing typically will prepare the material and collateral and then helps sales deliver that to the customer. And so the number one is make sure that it is a customer. The reason I also say this is there are situations where the audience is not the customer, but say a partner or an investor, in which case the presentation is slightly different, but we're not going to focus only on the sales collateral pitching to the customer. Any customer presentation broadly has two sections. Section one is more of a generalized section where you talk about company and everything, and then section two it talks specifics addressing this particular customer. And so there is a general portion of it which may be applicable to all the customers, and then there is a specific tailor-made section that is specific to this particular customer. So let's talk very briefly about the general side of it. The general piece of the presentation, obviously you're going to cover the company background, how many number of people are you, and where are the locations, investors, and if you have any partners, and explain clearly what your business model is. Is this a online subscription based, advertisement driven, or you're licensing the product, or you're selling the product outright? Whatever it is, be very clear about it. And most important in this is, let's say that you had any management change in the company. You directly address this topic. You clearly say that there is a reason so and so why you made such a management change, because when a customer looks at your company, your company has a website, right? They are going to look at what has changed, and then if you don't address that in your sales presentation, they're going to get a little bit nervous and suspicious. Obviously, you want to be in front. You want to get ahead of all these doubts and uncertainties that customer may have. And so it's always good to, if there is any change in the company, you want to just put that out there and then say, look, we wanted to take the company to a new level, hence we have a seasoned, experienced team. We feel that we are evolving from being a startup to a more mature company, and that required a new set of executive management skills. And we believe this skill set will help us take the company from here to there, high growth company, something like that. Because customers will ask, hey, what happened to your CEO or your VP of sales? You have a new face on your company website. So you don't want them to be asking and not getting the answer. And then obviously that goes to the understanding of the customer, whether your company is stable or not. If you're a big company, that's a different deal. And then another aspect of it is, so that's the general point of it, but let's now talk about, more important, the specifics section. And in the specifics section, you want to address, very first is, thing you want to remember is, you want to keep in mind is, what has changed with the company when the last time the sales spoke to that customer. That is the first thing that you want to think about. Meaning, imagine your sales manager going back to the customer with the same old presentation. What do you think customer would give the time of day? Customer is interested, and your sales manager is always interested in telling something new to the customer. So first thing you want to think about is, what has changed since the last time your sales manager has talked to this customer. So it helps if you have a small chat with your sales manager and talk to him or her about when was the last time, and what is the background history, and what are the things that this particular customer cares about, before you start to put together this presentation. And then in specifics, again, like I said, you want to be thinking about how to make your customer interested. Lean forward and then say, okay, I want to hear that more, excited, and tell me more about that particular foil, go back to this and elaborate more on this. So you want to get that kind of a response from the customer. And obviously, news, new information, something positive, something exciting is what gets them to be more and more interested in your company. So you want to be thinking like that. As you open up with this customer specifics section of the presentation, first thing you want to do is, you want to always address any open issues that you have with this customer, whether they are any support related issues, or any sales or a product related. For example, maybe they had asked you for some set of some kind of information, or if they had filed a few bugs and you had responded back to them with some bug numbers, and then say, okay, we're taking a look at it. Anything. You first want to round up all those open issues and give them the status information. It could be as simple as, we know these are open issues, we're aware of it, we're tracking it, here is the status, or status hasn't changed, but we want to tell you we're taking it seriously. So you want to sort of a baseline yourself, you and your customer, and then so when the customer sees it, they know, okay, this company is on top of what I am saying. So that's the first thing you want to be very, very clear about. it is a sales presentation, but it's always a relationship, and you want to maintain that you know what you're talking about, you know what customer has told the company before. And then at the same time, you want to also show what has changed since last time, in particular as far as the product is concerned. Show the roadmap. Customers love roadmaps. Customers love new products, and they want to see what is happening with your product planning. And also, if your sales has grown and it has picked up, or users, number of users, whatever is the growth metric that you feel good about, show it and let them see that you are on a positive trajectory. That's what you want to increase the confidence in your company, is what I'm saying. If it is a new product announcement, tell them, hey, we've got a great new product and here is what it is. And then when you get to this new product, always get to the specifics. Don't leave it in a hand waving like this. Basically get to specifics of when are you going to release it, what is the month and the year, or if you can get to more specific, that's fine. And how is it different from the current product, and also what particular set of problems that customer had reported before are addressed by this particular new product. And then also try to meet customers' expectations in terms of directly address what problems they are trying to solve. And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to talk about pricing of this new product because it hasn't been launched yet. And in any case, pricing discussions should always be left to the salespeople. At least in the technology business, and that is a good practice that I always recommend, because internally marketing and sales are going to come to an understanding of what the pricing strategy is, and sales will execute that pricing strategy. And also, there are some things about, be sensitive to your competition, meaning always assume that your competition has already talked with this customer. And so why I say that, that helps you to position yourself in this way. You want to be positioning like, how do I sell against this competition? Here's the customer, and this competition already had pitched their product, and now how do I sell, how do I make myself and my product help solve this customer's problem better? That's the attitude you want to go in with while you are preparing the presentation. And at the same time, you always be very sensitive, and you should not share any confidential information that another customer has told you. And then don't open your mouth and say, hey, that customer has told me about this. And so if you do that, even though your instincts may tell you, if your beginner's instinct may tell you that maybe that way you will gain your customer's confidence, in fact the opposite is true. You will lose customer's trust, because he or she is going to think, what's stopping you from turning around and going to a third customer and talking about him, right? And so it is not professional to talk about confidentiality matters, confidential matters. Always be very professional. Trust is the number one target that you want to hit as far as customer relationship is concerned. And so basically, and then all of these you want to cover, but then always keep it short. Give customer enough time to talk. Obviously, sales person is going to be there executing this presentation, but at the same time, you want to craft the presentation in a way that helps the salespeople deliver the message better. And so that is pretty much what I wanted to talk to you about. These are some of the good practices that as a beginning product manager you need to pay attention to. And once you internalize these things, and you will be on your way to becoming a better product manager in terms of helping your sales force. So in the next lecture, I want to switch gears and talk about the product release process, the second parallel task that you should be paying attention to as the product is getting closer to the finishing stage. Okay, so I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.